Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone joining us from around the world. Welcome to this masterclass. I am Smita, and I'm from upGrad KnowledgeHut, and it's absolute pleasure to have you all with us today. Thank you so much for joining in. A bit about upGrad KnowledgeHut. We are a global training organization. We have trained over 500,000 professionals in the field of agile, project management, cybersecurity, AI, and among others. And we also have helped 4,500 plus enterprise clients in agile transformations and have a global presence in 100 plus countries, and we're still counting, right? Today, we'll be talking about the role of an AI augmented project manager, when to augment, automate, and lead. So, how many of us agree that AI has been an indispensable part of project management today? Right? Automation has become a day to day thing in most projects being managed. As the role of AI increases in project management, there's a need to be a clear distinction between the responsibilities that are assigned to AI and those where human judgment is needed. While there are many things that can be accelerated and automated with AI, there are some things where human judgment can't be assigned to AI, right? So that's the gap we are here to close today. Over the next 1 hour, right, we'll explore where AI can help project managers and draw a line between the responsibility of a AI and humans. So before I introduce the speaker for today's session, here is something to look forward to for those who are going to stay with us till the end. You'll be receiving one PD and an exclusive discount on our PMP course. Please join me in welcoming Saptarshi Saha. He's a PMI authorized trainer for CAPM and PMP. He has more than 28 years of experience in infrastructure management, PMO, business process consulting, digital transformation, and strategy. He has done PMP and CAPM training for a few years now. So he's going to take you through the entire session and how to go about it. So, sir, over to you.
All right. Hi, everyone. A little bit about myself, and thank you so much, Smita, and welcome once again to all of you. So, guys, I have been in the enterprise industry for quite a long time, 28 years, and since last 2 years, I've taken up this career. This is my second innings where I train people and also do my other strength is I consult people and companies, individuals and companies on data center optimization techniques, specifically cooling and power. But I also, as Smita rightly saying, I train people mainly on PMP certification courses as well as CAPM, which is one ladder below what PMP is. So, what is interesting today, and I'm just assuming that you guys are very much interested to take up PMP as a certification. PMP, of course, is considered to be the gold standard for project management. And very recently, only in month of June 8th, I believe it was June 8th, yes. And when the earlier PMBOK, which is PM Body of Knowledge, it was discontinued and we had upgraded to the latest version, which is PMBOK 8th edition. The main difference between PMBOK 8th edition and 7th edition was introduction of two new topics. One is environment, social governance, checkpoints, and the total framework, structure, the framework, etc. And also AI as a tool, how does it help the modern project managers? So make no mistake, the PMBOK new edition doesn't speak much about how the AI agents behave, how the algorithms are created, what do you need to do at the back end, etc., etc. However, what it teaches is, as far as AI goes, who takes up the accountability? And also, what can be the different ways that your task as a project manager can be augmented? So when I say the word augmented, it means how does it help uh, from the perspective of the AI tools, how do you get that help to supplement whatever you are doing as a project manager? How do you do it better? How do you do it in a more optimized fashion, in a more efficient fashion? So that is Augment. And the other advantage to use AI as per the industry is you can automate a lot of stuff out there if you know how to do it. So the thing is, we would not be going much into working of each of the tools here. I do not have the scope for that. Number one, I do not have the licenses for all the tools. And number two, also, the window is pretty much narrow for me to showcase each and everything here in this class. The whole intention would be to build up your curiosity as a typical project manager. How best can you take up your skills one level up by using these tools, which are available to us either as open web or as licensed version? My job here is to build up that curiosity so that we together can, for the next few minutes, not few minutes, for the next, let's say 40 to 45 minutes, try to explore together what can best help us to do what we are doing as project managers today. And I'm just assuming that you guys, of course, know the fundamentals of project management. Some of you would be already acting project managers, or someone of you would be aspiring to become a project manager. So coming back to this slide, yes, 28 years of experience. So I come from that point, trying to help you people to do best what you already would be doing. Let's go to the first slide. So I'm going to start with a very provocative question. Is AI going to replace project managers? I think that's actually the wrong question which comes to the mind of each and every new student who joins my course. And because of the whole noise about what AI is doing to the industry, how many jobs are getting optimized, people are getting laid off, everyone is worried whether AI is going to replace the project managers. I believe the more useful question should be, which parts of project management should you as a project manager give to the AI tool? And then which parts, what AI tool or which areas of a AI tool can help you with the responsibilities? And should you delegate or shouldn't you delegate? AI is already very good in certain things that involve information processing. It can read documents, it can summarize meetings, it can identify patterns, which sometimes we takes hours and hours, but it might take a couple of minutes to look for the pattern, take it out, extract that, and present it in form of a dashboard. It can generate content, it can generate video, audio files, it can compare various options which otherwise you would have taken ages along with your team to do that. And increasingly, if you want to create workflows, it can execute the workflows too. But remember, modern day project management, and not only modern day, project management never was just about data processing. Well, data is important, but is it just about data processing? A PM also has to influence stakeholders. He has to negotiate. He has to handle conflict. So AI hasn't yet reached that stage where it has those man management skills. It can handle two stakeholders who are at each other's throat. AI cannot do all those. Can AI make trade-offs? When you have two or three decisions and you need to do a tiebreaker, can AI tool do that? Can the tool understand what are the politics which are running below the organizational policies? And then can it exercise judgment? We all know that the basic AI tools like Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT, they suffer from hallucination effect. I hope you understand what is hallucination. They suffer from hallucination effect. They also suffer from confirmation bias, which means whatever you throw at them, AI is never going to find a fault with you. It's always going to say, yes, Saptarshi, you are correct. I am going to rectify this. AI is never going to say that the data you are presenting or feeding into it is wrong. So that is called confirmation bias, and that's a prejudice that we need to live with. Number one. Number two, AI sometimes cooks fantastic figures for you, numbers which none of the sources which are available on the net is going to throw up, but AI can cook up numbers, figures, etc. And that is known as hallucination effect. So who's going to take the responsibility if it happens like that? And you are about to present a risk management plan to your client, who's going to take the accountability for any downfall which happens? Not only your project success would be at stake, but also the brand equity of your company is going to be at stake. So accepting accountability, exercising judgment, understanding politics, making trade-offs, handling conflict, negotiate, influencing stakeholders, these are many things still at the end has to do it. So today, what have I decided is I'm going to present a structured framework, which I'm going to call as 3 A's, A as in Apple. So the 3 A's are going to be automate, augment, which is supplement, and then the third piece in this whole puzzle is going to be your accountable human being, which is you. And we'll try to demonstrate this by going through a particular project rather than showing you 20, 30 random AI tools. So the 3 AM model, automate, which means repetitive work. We are going to cut down on the window. We are going to generate rule-based tasks. Augment, which means I'm going to depend on this tool for doing analysis, for providing me cutting-edge insights and any kind of recommendations. Then human-led, ultimately, it's you who's human in the loop. You have to exercise your judgment, leadership, accountability. So let's define these three terms very carefully. Automation. When X happens, the system performs Y. The PM doesn't need to manually perform every repetitive step. Let's think about some examples from our day-to-day work. You have a new issue. The threshold is breached. The tool should notify the owner who is in charge to resolve that particular topic. You have a meeting. And before the meeting happens, the tool should be able to generate a kind of action list, for your action FYA. A new work item needs to be done. You check all the required fields if they are there. So the human need not be there. The tool can do it. Status updates, minutes of the meeting, etc. Everything can be done through automation. But automation sometimes does not necessarily require AI. That is also true. So there are various permutations and combinations that you can use to automate what you are doing as a project manager. The second para says augment. Here, AI is going to become your thinking partner. You give it some kind of information and you are going to ask it to analyze, to compare, identify patterns, challenge assumptions. Challenging assumptions is a great way of optimizing the information that AI throws at you. You have to play the devil's advocate to make sure that the tool has to challenge its own findings. You have to do alternative analysis by generating what other options are there. You identify all missing information, but still are not you using your judgment. You have to exercise judgment. You cannot just blindly go and pick whatever the AI is going to throw at you. For example, you can do analysis. You can just write it down, analyze my 5 biggest ERP risks. Now, ERP, why? Because the project that I was going to use for a little demonstration is about ERP. AI helps, remember, when you use it as an augmentation tool, but it does not own the risk. You have to be the person who's accountable. in the eyes of the customer, in the eyes of your business leader, in the eyes of your line of business or vertical or your whole enterprise or your CFO, executive director, and so on. So the third, the accountable human. This is the most important category. There are decisions where the PM is going to be always accountable. And that is also ethically correct, isn't it? Now, the customer, suppose you are in charge, you are the project manager, and customer has given you all the responsibilities of $1 million project. It's not easy, right? It can be a complicated situation. In case there is a data breach, you have been handed over all these IP, all these confidential data, and you're freely uploading them on your AI tool. Should not you be ethically responsible how you are using your customer data freely, uploading them on the net, and thereby opening up a chance or a possibility that somebody else who has bad intentions can use the same data to create some mischief. So those kind of ethical questions, those kind of accountability has to be run in your mind before you do all these things. In spite of all the augmentation, analysis, automation, etc., ultimately you are the person who should take a call that given all these insights, should I delay the ERP go live? AI can analyze schedule, cost, risk, dependencies, readiness, etc., everything. But the decision involves business impact, regulatory consequences, stakeholder expectations. When it's politics, you are trying to break up a tie between two stakeholders, you are doing conflict management, risk appetite. AI is not going to define what's the risk threshold of your organization, what is the risk appetite of the project team, what is the risk appetite of the product owner, etc. So the rule is the higher the consequence of being wrong. So let's consider the probability of the consequence of being wrong in some manner is very high. All right. So both the possibility is high. Also, if you go wrong, if your AI tool insights or predictive analytics goes wrong, there is a strong chance that it can be wrong. The human oversight or the human management needs to be stronger, isn't it? I hope you agree to that. The more riskier the project, the human in the loop needs to grow in his character. So it is not only just about how well you manage the tools, etc., but it is also how well you execute your critical thinking at the end. PMI, who's the governing body of PMP, explicitly emphasizes that human in the loop practices, accountability, ethical, legal standards, framework, etc., escalations, all these override AI recommendations. Our ERP case study, so it's a global ERP transformation. There are 14 countries. It is still 4 months to go live. So today we have individual ERP systems governing each country, governing each LOBs, governing each business verticals, just like silos. The intention is to make it one big picture, which can be centrally coordinated and collaborated. So you have to make sure all these things happen in sync. We still have 4 months to go live, but the data migration is not going too well. There are a lot of conflicts which are happening between the vendors, between the supply chain people, between the business leaders, and of course, your stakeholders. Recently, the vendor, who's your supplier, possibly providing you some software or human capital, non-human resources, doesn't matter. But he just quoted that his invoices are going to be escalated by 12%. Potentially, because of the narrow window, you are going to have compliance issues with some regulatory body. So now let me show you the documents that I had created. I'm just going to bring them up. Give me a moment. I hope the font size is okay now. So it's a global ERP transformation project charter. Hypothetical case study. Project purpose. Implement a common enterprise ERP platform across 14 countries to standardize core business process, improve data quality reporting, reduce fragmented systems, establish a scalable model. The business justification, we all know that a project charter has to be embedded with the business case. And what's a business case? Very simple. Business case simply answers the question, why are you doing this project? And it has to be embedded in your charter. And guys, what is the charter? Charter is a synopsis of what you intend to do with your project. It is max 1 to 3 pages sometimes, and at a very high level, it's going to have your assumptions, it's going to have your success criteria, it's going to have the justification to do the project. It's also going to have the high level risks, the approved ballpark budget, and not the low level budget, because you still have to go to the planning stage to find that out. You need to decompose your work stuff to exactly calculate, which is going to be much more accurate as you progress. But the charter gets your project kicked off, started off in the kickoff meeting, which is presided by the project team and also all your stakeholders. And traditionally, the project governance board, which is also called as steerco or steering committee, should be the guys who approves this charter. So the objectives are there. High level, I told that, isn't it? Everything is in high level. Risk, scope, schedule, your quality planning, etc. All the knowledge areas that are usually part of your project management plan should be there at a very high level, as if you are sitting at a height of 10,000 feet. So high level scope, out of scope, in scope, what are the key deliverables, the general milestones, who are the key stakeholders? You have the sponsor, you have the steering committee, global CIO, CFO, country CEOs, business process owners, the guys who owns up the verticals, the country IT leads, the guys who owns the data, compliance, legal people, cyber security owners, ERP implementation vendor, the third party guy with whom you perhaps have entered into a contract and that's binded by SLAs, KPIs, metrics, major risks, assumptions, and then your governance framework and success criteria. Project manager authority, very important, because charter approves that a project manager now is ready to start his work, which is planning. Finally, how does it get approved, etc. So once you do that, I also want to present the requirement traceability metrics. Now, guys, those who are not aware of what goes inside a project management, I'm assuming all of you know, but I'll just take a quick minute. A project management simply has 5 process groups. It starts with initiation, and then it goes to planning, then it goes to execution, monitoring, controlling, and then closing. So these are the 5 process groups. Let it be agile, let it be waterfall, which is the traditional way of doing project management. But these are the 5 process groups. Now, remember, these are not phases. Phases are a typical stages in the project, like design, deploy, test, launch, etc. Those are phases or stages, but these are process groups, and these can be part of any phase of a project or any stage of a project. So all the phases, be it design, conceptualization, ideation, execution, etc., can have all these 5 process groups, starting with initiation to closing. But these 5 process groups are also closely related to 10 or 12 knowledge areas. The knowledge areas are scope, cost, schedule, quality, risk, compliance, and then communication, stakeholder management, procurement, contract management, change control management. These are the knowledge areas. Now, once you start with your initiation, you create your business case, you create your benefit realization plan, you also create your stakeholder register, etc., etc. These are the starting documents that a PM should do, after which the charter comes in, which I already showed you. Now, after the charter happens, the PM gets going. He starts deriving all the requirements for the project because he has to build up scope, cost, schedule. So we already have the baselines. We already have the approved numbers. It's not enough. We need to deep dive to make sure we have solid, tangible numbers. Do that. To do that, the first step would be the requirement traceability matrix. So you have all the requirements, you have the request IDs because numbering is pretty important. This requirement traceability matrix is going to be your digital map. Later, when you are handing over the product or service to the customer, you need to ensure that you covered everything off in the RTM. So the RTM is pretty important for you before you start building the scope management plan. So RTM is done for this ERP. This ERP is about data migration from silos to a bigger ERP management software. We need to migrate a lot of data, and the scope is covering 14 countries. And these are the requirements. We have the source, we have the business objective, we have the priority. What would be the acceptance criteria which we are going to exercise when we are about to deliver the product service? The test case ID, design modules belongs to whom, the status, who's the owner, and then the traceability notes. How do you trace them? How do you ensure that you actually can go back to the source from which this particular requirement came? And then it's quite voluminous, all right? The third document that I'm going to share with you is the RAID law. I hope you know what is RAID. RAID, risk, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. So hypothetical global ERP transformation, and I prepared this for our case study that you have the risks, you have the assumptions, and you have issues and dependency. And this is just when I am at the starting block. Now, on basis of this, these are my three source documents. I will try to project data. I'll try to make sure that the AI tool can impact its insights and how well does it do. We shall see one by one. Let me now go back to the slide once more. Right. So hold on. ChatGPT. Well, ChatGPT has become ancient now, but I still thought uh, let's put it there. And these are the bullets. You can analyze risks. You can analyze your stakeholders. You can compare options. You can identify assumptions. You can challenge recommendations. And you can use ChatGPT with this ERP scenario, though I would not be using ChatGPT to show you what I have done. I'm going to mainly use Notebook LLM. I'm going to use Microsoft Copilot. I'm going to use PMI, and PMI has its own Infinity tool. I hope some of you do know. If you do not know, then please understand you're missing a great deal of information. So now, if you're going to use ChatGPT, a sample prompt can be analyze this ERP situation, identify the most significant risks, clearly distinguish facts, assumptions, and also distinguish AI generated analysis. You can also put in a prompt saying that try to make it as human as possible. And please do not make the final decision for the project manager. So you have to notice that the prompt, I'm deliberately telling the AI, do not make the decision. Why? Because I want the machine, the algorithm to perform the analysis. I do not want him to take accountability. Then the output comes out, likely the information is structured, etc. Let's now go to the notebook LLM. Increase the font size. Hey guys, if the font size is visible, can you please give me a thumbs up on the chat window? Any one of you? All right. Thank you so much. Let me increase the font size a little more. This is what I used as a prompt just before we started our class. Based only on the uploaded project documents, give me a 60-second executive briefing because I need to present it to my executive people. They are not interested in this RAID. They are not interested, of course. No executive sponsors would be interested to go through your requirement traceability metrics. So I want to present this for executive briefing. So please include the project's purpose, objectives, major risks, key dependencies, and current areas requiring management attention. Check the source document for each important point. And out came this. So it published, printed project purpose and objectives, current risk profile. It actually told me what can be the major risk areas. It also told me what can be major issues and blockers, commercial, technical failures, what can be a regulatory block. See, it picked out the requirement from RTM, data residency compliance, is currently marked as blocked pending a formal assessment. So it can be highlighted, something which you can take 2 to 3 hours to go through all the three documents. It actually brings me within 2 to 3 minutes max. Key dependencies, data readiness, architecture. It also told me which are the areas which require management attention. So it says management must immediately focus on negotiating the 12% vendor cost increase and validating the vendor's recovery plan for 8-week schedule slippage. Furthermore, support is needed to resolve country level resistance. Yes, some countries are there who are resistors. You understand, right? Neutral, resistors, and then leading people. So in stakeholder register, you can have people who are resisting me. They are resistors. And then people who are there neutral, just like Switzerland, neutral people, neither here nor there. And then there are leading people or supporters or champions. So I need to find them out. I also gave a prompt, which two countries are resisting the global template? And because I actually have not put in the name of the countries, so do not explicitly name the two countries that are resisting. So it could not pick it out. Fair enough. I told them that I want to know more about the 12% vendor cost increase. And it told me exactly why does it think the 12% vendor increase happens. So this is something that I use in the morning Gemini notebook for. Now let me show you Microsoft Copilot, and this is beautiful. So what I did is I went there and I told I want to do a stakeholder analysis, right? Please make a stakeholder analysis on assumed impact and power. Of course, you know that stakeholders can be analyzed, and PMI teaches that. You can do a two-dimensional analysis or three-dimensional analysis. You can pick up your axis as you want. Normally, it is practiced as power and interest or power slash impact, etc. So I told them, take my project charter, take my RAID log, RAID log, and requirement traceability metrics into a structured view of who holds power, who's most impacted, and how engagement should be managed. So it has thrown me stakeholder analysis and register. So this is how beautiful it looks. Impact versus power. So program manager, high. There is a basic quadrant where it is told that if your stakeholder is at the highest one, so power high, impact is high, you have to really manage them closely. What does it mean? They have to be part of each decision loop making process. All right. Somebody who's very low in both these things, you have to actually just monitor them. You do not have to do anything, but just monitor them. Somebody who's high and low, end users. So their impact is high, but power is very low. Adoption critical for success, but limited decision making power, which means you really have to keep them close, make them not part of your decision making process, but please understand that your data information should be seamlessly shared with them because you need to build up that kind of atmosphere. So stakeholder analysis done. Then he created a stakeholder register. It also advised what you need to do to engage with this guy on a proper manner. So the program manager, who's one level higher up than you, who's the project manager, continuous involvement, weekly updates, risk management, etc. End users, see what does it advise? Training, feedback sessions, maybe town hall meetings, maybe just give them some FAQs and broadcast it on an email thread. User acceptance testing, make them part of UAT, of course. Finance department, ensure ERP meets financial standards and they should be part of your reporting workshops. The third document that I told it to create is stakeholder engagement assessment metrics. This is also has got an acronym SEAM. This is a very important artifact. This is for you to judge where your important stakeholder is right now, what is his current engagement, and what you desire him to be. If he is leading, do you still want him to be leading? If the vendor partner is supportive, you'd like to move him to leading. So you need to exercise your negotiation skills, your persuasive skills, your leadership skills to ensure that he is going to become a champion supporter of you. So this is what the Microsoft Copilot brought me home. Now let's go to PMI Infinity tool. I gave it my project charter and I would like you to create a stakeholder management plan, not a stakeholder register. Stakeholder register is different. Management plan is an entire game plan for you to know and understand how to manage those stakeholders. What kind of tools, techniques do you use? And it actually gave me the stakeholder management plan in a jiffy. I also told them that please play the devil's advocate to ensure you challenge your own statements. And it told me what are the areas to improve next, the strength of the draft, and how did it incorporate your devil's advocate? How did it incorporate my devil's advocate request? So this is what it threw. Let me just pull it out. Stakeholder management plan. Right. This was the document that shortly before we all joined this call, the tool actually generated. So purpose of the stakeholder management plan, this document outlines strategies and processes for effectively identifying, analyzing, planning engagement, for monitoring stakeholders for global ERP transformation, project overview. So what are the different identification process you can use? Brainstorming, interviews, organizational chart reviews, historical data, which we famously know as. What kind of methodology are you going to use? So it's going to suggest you various ways. High power, high interest. So power interest grid. And then how do you go about creating the stakeholder register? The formatting is little off the mark, so please excuse that. And it goes on. It's quite humongous, the data that it can throw out. And at the very last, it also created a kind of glossary for me. And then updates and control. This is quite important. And it's one of the knowledge areas inside your project management curriculum, which says, how do you make sure that the documents are curated, documents are updated, the version controlling is done? It has also created that section, which should be helpful to you. Now, guys, let's go back to our slides. So one by one, ChatGPT, Notebook, LLM, Microsoft Copilot. Right. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to create the automated workflow because of the shortage of time. But I would just present it theoretically. How is it possible, etc., for you to just automate? So you have a ERP issue, and you can simply fill up a Google form, which would be available as a smart sheet. You can use a Zapier, which is a tool, and then you can correlate between your Google Sheet and the Zapier tool to send you an automatic notification. So for example, just assume many of you are agile practitioners, let's say, and you think that a Scrum story, which is getting developed, user story, and you all know how user stories gets created. It is the product owner who creates the user story, and supposedly user story has to be tackled inside one single iteration. So imagine your user story has a major obstacle. The story becomes blocked. There is a blocker. The automation, the automated workflow detects the event. Notification is sent. The Scrum Master or product owner is alerted. No one had to manually check every user story. We can also use, in case Zapier is not freely available, you can use Rovo, ROVO, which can be extended with the help of Atlassian Jira. So Jira/Rovo to take this concept further by embedding AI and automation inside the whole work management system. In fact, Rovo, ROVO, can help with work item analysis, drafting. It can also design your workflows depending on what type of Jira license your company owns. So remember, key distinction. Your user story can be created by augmentation, automatic notification when your user story or task, or let's say a software bug you are working on, or maybe better, you are working on a sprint which is about attending a risk item. You know, architectural spikes. Many of you would have heard that word. A spike is experimental sprint. So automatic notification, whenever a spike gets blocked or the user story gets blocked, you can automate, but deciding finally whether the sprint goal should change, that AI cannot take. That has to be human-led. AI across waterfall and Scrum. So predictive, it can do risk analysis, schedule analysis. It can create your Gantt charts, requirements. If someone of you have to create WBS, work breakdown structure, AI tool can help you with that. And then, of course, all those dashboards, etc. Agile user stories, acceptance criteria. We all know what is acceptance criteria, definition of done, and then you have definition of ready. Agile can very well use the augmentation tools to do that. Backlog refinement. Well, backlog refinement is a strategic session between a product owner and the domain experts to make sure that whichever user story is no more required, that is discarded because the customer has given a feedback. You push those user stories down the line. Some user story who has just become very important because customer gave you feedback can be pulled up. So backlog refinement can very well use all these kind of AI tools. ChatGPT, Copilot, Notebook, LLM, Robo. In this, I've just tried to put out a table what your scope can helped with Copilot, ClickUp, Brain, Rick, Schedule, ChatGPT, Gemini, Notebook, LM, Cost, Smartsheet, Copilot, Quality, ClickUp, Brain, Gemini, Communications. You have Synthesia, Complexity, Smartsheet, Jira Assistant. There is a API embedded in some licensed versions of Jira. For procurement, we can use Perplexity and the others. For stakeholders, we already saw how Copilot, how your Infinity PMI tool helped us. So where does AI stop? Routine work AI can do. Analysis, recommendations, AI can assist, but negotiation, ethics, governance, conflict, consequential decisions, AI cannot do. So, for example, AI has analyzed all the three documents that I uploaded. It has identified the vendor delay as critical. It has identified the data migration as a failure. It has identified a data residency concern, and it also recommends to delay the go live. So ask yourself, should we blindly delay the go live? What else do we need? So we need business impact, we need contractual implications, we need regulatory position, we need customer impact, the sponsor risk appetite. We discussed that at the very start of the class. What is the readiness of the countries? Apart from 14, apart from two countries, the other 12 countries were ready. Your reseller or your channel partner or your vendor, does it have a recovery plan? And then critical requirements, etc. So many things are there. It's not just about when and how AI tells you to delay or to go ahead, but you have to, as a human, in the whole, you are the cog in the wheel, you are the linchpin. You need to take a call. AI has helped us to reach the decision point, but it has not eliminated the other factors. So we need to take a call for this ERP project. You as a project manager should recommend, should consider all these factors before you recommend whether to go live or not to go live. Right, guys, I think we are done. Like to also tell you something. Those who want to do PMP, remember this, there are 100 different other project management certifications, but make no mistake, PMP is still considered to be the gold standard because PMI has been in the market since 1969, and traditionally it has made an to cover all kinds of industries, sectors, etc. So name it, construction, software, pharmaceutical, healthcare. Everybody gets immense benefit because the topics specifically do not focus on a particular domain. It's agnostic. All right. Yes, it does not speak in-depth agile. It does not speak in-depth waterfall. It's a mix of all. So it's your launching pad to make sure that you can optimize your performance as a project manager. I did my PMP in 2011, and still now I have found it very useful to use those fundamental principles in my day-to-day work. Well, considering that I do not work for an organization anymore, but remember I told you I still do consulting, and I've found that my PMI skills do help me in doing that job as well. So those who are doing due diligence, trying to guess what PMI, what PMP is all about, etc. I think that's a correct strategic direction that you should take. Those who are looking for a career enhancement or a career change, or simply you want to make your salary 2x or 3x. This is the right place and right time. And every moment that you are delaying, remember, it's an investment of your time and money. You're losing out on that enhancement of your package. And remember, it is not just about you, it is also about your whole career. So remember these before you take a call.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for participating. I think today's session has already answered a lot of questions that professionals have about when to let AI help in your workflows, as well as when to step in and make the right calls. So when we started today's session, we spoke about change. For years, project managers have relied on themselves to run and conduct project management workflows. Today, AI is asking us to change the way we look at project management and update your role. But again, every career journey is different, right? So, we would like to now open the floor to your questions, and we'll spend next couple of minutes answering as many questions as we can. Yeah. So, I'm going to read out questions that we have here for Saptarshi. Well, we have another question from Ved from LinkedIn. What is the security issue during AI automation?
Right. There is no direct answer to this. So there can be, in fact, not one, but many, many. So before automating, you need to ask yourself, what data is AI accessing? Where is the data going? What permissions does AI have? What happens if AI is wrong? Does the action involve human approval? Our regulatory data residency, we all understand data residency is pretty much strong in Europe and China as well. So are they satisfied? Remember, AI can automate the action, but the organization ultimately has to be accountable. So for my ERP example, we need to make sure the very easy answer to say is to establish certain governance checkpoints at every stage of the automated workflow so that malware or any kind of ransomware, etc., does not crop in. I have already discussed, brought in the point that, you know what, it's pretty sensitive for you to upload customer-owned data. Some of it can be binded by NDA, etc. So we need to be very much aware of the consequences the automated action can have, and therefore you need to have very strong human approval control points, and that is where human in the loop comes into the play. So I hope you have understood what I'm trying to say. Risk can be contained by creating the proper governance checkpoints at crucial milestones or at crucial points inside your automated workstream. I hope that answers your question, Wade.
Yeah. Wait, give us a heads up if you were able to follow us through. Well, thank you. I think the session was already quite clear and very engaging, is why there are no more questions. That's all we have as the questions for today. Thank you so much, Saptarshi, and thank you everyone who has joined us today. Hopefully, today's conversation has helped you see that AI is here to help at the right places. It's an opportunity to become part of what the next chapter of project management looks like.